story has a happy ever after. And after this story, there's an after party.
The usual banter of random thoughts that I have.
Yeah. Lay it on me, bro.
So you and I have dated a lot of people and are both currently in like the best relationships you and I are ever going to have.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if we ever went into like the matchmaking industry, we could potentially not necessarily get people in the best of relationships, but definitely stop them from getting in terrible ones.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be pyromancers. We would be firefighters in that particular regard.
We just armed with buckets of cold water to dump on people.
Go take a cold shower. So I'm Sam Logston.
I'm Amanda Pierce.
And if you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, you will have seen the picture that I used for the promo this week is the same one that I always use when the episode is about Snow White and Prince Charming.
Yep.
This episode, okay, so
it has one of my favorite scenes in it, so I'll say that much.
Okay, yeah, this episode is so weird because nothing happens, but a lot happens, and there's stuff that I like in it, and then there's like a thought that I had after watching it for the third time, and it's like, do you ever realize how like feminism is really inconvenient sometimes to like your overall enjoyment of things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those moments.
A lot.
Yeah. It didn't ruin the episode for me, but it was like there was something kind of gnawing at me, and I think I finally was able to put my finger on what exactly it was.
A weevil.
Yes.
A tick. Some freaking termites going at your leg.
Something like that. A little bluebird in the rafters.
Little birdhouse in your soul.
Oh my goodness. Hot Toddy has a really good number that involves that song. You've seen that.
It is. It's a very good number.
So here's how I think we might need to do this. The Enchanted Forest part of the show is really easy, and we could probably summarize it in about 3 sentences.
Yep.
And then everything that happens in Storybrooke is a lot.
Yeah, it's not my favorite kind of setup for an episode.
No, it's
much
not.
Happens in the fairy tale world. A lot happens in Storybrooke, and almost all of it involves white bread.
White bread, yes.
White bread and milk toast.
What's crap. Whitney bread. Whitney bread and milky comatose.
Yeah, milky comatose.
Milky comatose. Crap. I'm trying to figure out where we should start because it's like.
Listen, I'll start with a fairy tale world. I can start it off real quick.
Just give us the bare minimum because even though I got a few yucks out of that, I'm willing to skip over them for the sake of getting this over with.
Hold on. I got a ginger fizz here with some bourbon. Ginger syrup was on sale at Whole Foods. So I have that, sparkling water, some bourbon, and some lemon juice, and no ice. So it really, really needs ice. But let me take a hit of this, and I'll hop and do a drunk history on this fairy tale world. Give me a second.
Wonderful. I decided to buy a variety pack from Brooklyn, which includes their lager, but it also includes their Stonewall Inn Session IPA. So that's a gay beer, but the gay beer also comes with a trans girlfriend. And it is a sour beer that is the trans pride colors. And you can't convince me that Brooklyn didn't have a gay beer and a trans girlfriend. And listen, if any beers were going to go on a camping excursion together, it would be a Session IPA and a sour beer.
Whew, a little bit delicious, a little bit like cough medicine. Just what I want. It makes my tongue tingly.
Perfect. Drunk history, this fantasy.
I'm in the midst of a flare up, so I need this ginger. Whew. So, once upon a time, we start off with the prince and Red. Red transforms into wolf to give Prince head start. Then we go to Snow White. She is singing the song from the Disney movie, and there's a bird, and you're like, oh, that's sweet. It's like the Disney movie. But then she starts swinging at the bird with a broom, and it's the best. This is the best scene in the show.
It is. Okay, this legit made me laugh out loud.
Yes. This whole bit here is the best scene, at least in this episode. I would say it's the top 10 in the show so far.
If we're talking about Mary Margaret moments, yeah, easily the top 3.
Well, this part is the same scene too. I'm counting it, where Grumpy takes her into a room with Jiminy Cricket, who she also tries to murder, and they have an intervention, and it's pretty great. They're like, Snow, you a bitch, and you're hurting everyone. She goes and decides the queen is the root of all her problems, is gonna go kill the queen. Attacks a guard, strips him down. Grumpy stops her, says, go get Rumpelstiltskin. He's more powerful. He'll find another way.
He's not that he'll find another way. I'm going to stop you right there because he wants Snow to get back to normal. And he is taking her to see Rumpelstiltskin so that he can fix her. But then it turns into them meeting Rumpelstiltskin and him saying to her, okay, what do you want, Snow?
Yep. And she says, I want to kill the queen. And he's like, here's a bow and arrow. Go Robin Hood that shit up. And she's like, what you want? And he's like, nothing. And she leaves, and he stole a hair off of her. I forget how. Who cares? She goes to shoot the queen. But before she does that, the prince goes to Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin tells him what's down. Prince asks for, what do you want? What do you want for giving me that information? And he's like, your cloak. Takes a hair off the cloak. Prince leaves. Prince gets hit by arrow, intercepting Snow. Oh no, he tries to kiss her first. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Prince sexually assaults Snow White. She ties him to a tree. Jiminy Cricket frees him up. Then he steps in front of an arrow that Snow is trying to shoot at the queen. I give Regina's outfit 3 fire in this. You would
agree.
give her hat much more.
I give her hat 3 alone.
Yeah, I give her outfit 3 fire because it's not quite red enough. It's more of a pinky burgundy color. I wasn't all about it, but the jewels were nice. Anyway, steps in front of arrow, starts to remind Snow of who she really is. Snow gives him a kiss. Snow goes back to normal. Snow apologizes to dwarves. Dwarves go. Oh, Prince gets captured. And dwarves and Snow White go to rescue Prince.
So, towards the end, 2 things happen that, even though they're not necessarily funny, the one made me laugh because I'm cynical. It's Snow's turn to say, I will find you. Yep. I will always find you. That made me laugh. Now, this didn't make me laugh, but I actually did think it was like the kind of schmaltzy writing that I usually enjoy. When she goes back home to the dwarves, she presents Grumpy with a mug and a beer stein, and it was because she broke his at the beginning of the episode, and they're like, well, we don't want a mug from you. They do refer to the sign as a mug. And she's like, well, it's the only thing I broke that I could replace.
Oh,
And it was like, I was like, okay.
Grumpy's mug, or was it Happy's mug? Because Happy got really angry at the beginning, and they're like, "What? Look at what you're doing to
Happy." No, she broke Grumpy's mug, but you're right. Happy was the one who freaked the F out on her.
Yeah, it was pretty. Oh, and no, what Rumpelstiltskin actually gives the prince is the information that true love's kiss will break the curse. I forgot that. And then
the map to where she's at.
And he takes the hair from Snow and the hair from the prince, and they do a little Sleepwalker's light shiny thing.
Yeah, their two hair strands turn into DNA, like heterosexuality wins the day because it looks like a DNA strand, and Emma's a baby, and
yay heteronormativity, and it lights up and he puts it on the shelf under true love.
Yes. So that was actually pretty well contained. I think
I can do it.
The Storybrooke one here. I'm going to finish my beer before going into this. Hold on.
Damn straight.
Okay. Time to crack open the second one beer.
Is this the
because I'm going to need it after
one?
explaining. This is actually the regular lager.
Heteronormative one for Snow White and Prince Charming.
No, this is the asexual one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So from last we went off in Storybrooke, Emma reveals that Mary Margaret's fingerprints were on the inside of the box found in the woods that had a human heart in it. So we start with an interrogation between Emma and Mary Margaret, and Regina insists on being there for questioning. And she starts to interfere with the questions, and Emma gets a little bit miffed about it for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And Regina is more or less like trying to break Mary Margaret into saying something stupid. Doesn't quite happen yet. And if it sounds like I'm leading into spoiler territory for future episodes, it's because you can see this shit coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get angry with me.
Don't be mad at me. Be mad at the writers.
Please be mad at the writers, because if anybody, there's people who listen to us talk that have been following along with the show, and
mm-hmm.
You can see stuff coming fairly
mm-hmm.
easily, but that's not why I'm rolling my eyes.
It was what was that where the guy was gonna be run over by the snow thing, the ice. Oh my god. It's like a slow motion thing, and he's just like,
Boney in Deadpool.
Yeah.
Very slowly.
Yeah, that was it.
I
couldn't think of a Zamboni.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what the plot is here for some of the things they imply that are gonna happen. You're just sitting there screaming, and they're gonna run over you very slowly with a Zamboni.
Mm-hmm. So
that sounds delicious.
Henry is in this episode.
Yeah,
and his main purpose in this episode is to establish that Regina hates Snow White, which we already knew, and to talk to August, because I guess Henry hasn't read any of the new pages in his book. And
which I'm calling bullshit, first of all.
I am calling extreme bullshit on that.
That kid is tied to that book.
Yeah. It's like, how can I put it? The show makes it sound like August is omnipotent, or at least like the music and the way that their conversation is shot. It's like making him sound much smarter and like all-knowing and all-powerful, but we already know that he wrote those pages in the book, so like any kind of like whimsical element is taken straight out of that moment.
It's like J.K. Rowling sits next to you and goes, "Hey, you know the thing with Sirius Black is
Yeah.
You're like, OMG, how'd you know that? But I loved that scene because the way August sat down next to Henry, it reminded me of all of those scenes in like cop shows or movies where they're like end of a long day sitting in a bar.
It was
And August comes up to him and he's like, hello, intellectual equal.
This show.
And, okay, this is the only thing I'm going to say about Granny's, because it's only in this one short scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, it starts off with Red putting cinnamon on top of Henry's hot chocolate, which is going to be revolting unless you mix that in there. It's just going to be cinnamon powder on top. But, second thing is, August asks for a glass of water. Do you know what she gives him?
What?
A half-full glass of water with no ice or anything in it. It's literally like if you look at it, it's comically almost empty. It's like 1/3 of the way full.
That,
She is so fired. She's not getting a tip, and Granny's gonna actually fire her again.
That's not gonna happen.
Ugh.
Ugh.
That was literally the only thing about Granny's this episode, so I had to say it. It was weird.
Well, unfortunately, we had to stomach that whole scene because the whole point of them getting together was for August to tell Henry, listen, we believe in the crazy shit that's in your book, but Emma needs this thing called proof.
Listen, Henry,
crazy idea.
Ass.
Yes.
It was literally like that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to put this like as condensed as possible, but because of this conversation, Henry ends up finding the skeleton keys in Regina's office, and he shows them to Emma, and he's able to convince her to use those skeleton keys to see if she could have used them to break into her apartment. The reason Henry decides to do this is because at the beginning of the interrogation, Regina makes the very good point of, listen, that box that we found in the middle of the woods, Mary Margaret recognized it as her own jewelry box.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys didn't have a break-in, that clearly means she's guilty.
Yep.
So, lo and behold, on the one hand, the skeleton keys do work. So Emma, the wheels start turning and saying, oh, Regina could have broken into my apartment. But after thorough research and looking in Mary Margaret's room, under the floorboard where the heater is a hunter's knife.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't remember at what part of the episode they say this, but CSI Storybrooke was able to confirm that the DNA on the heart matched Catherine's.
I feel like it was really early on, right when Rumpelstiltskin offers to be her lawyer, or Mr. Gold.
Yeah,
I feel like it was towards the beginning.
Yeah, so that's okay. That's why I'm trying to like streamline things, because Mr. Gold approaching Mary Margaret to be her lawyer, that's like a off hair of this episode. Yeah. And another thing is that David, because of his blackout, decides to go and see Archie, the psychiatrist, aka Jiminy Cricket, about the blackouts, and they're able to have a moment where David can be hypnotized, and he has a flashback to the Enchanted Forest, where Snow White is on her way to kill the queen, and he's trying to tell her not to kill the queen, and she's like, I'm gonna kill her, and Archie is understandably kind of upset about him just saying don't kill her over and over again.
Yeah.
And David storms out, goes to Mary Margaret, who's in the jail cell, And he tells her about this memory he has. And, oh God, see, this is why I need my beer for this. So
it was just, I mean, she has a good point.
she has a good point, but the show, it's sort of like with Regina, okay? We know that she's an evil queen, but everything that she's saying in terms of Storybrookeness,
Mm-hmm.
it's, it's not unreasonable. Her
Yeah.
motives aside, she's not doing anything overtly wrong, with the exception of everything that we've marked down on the morality tally chart.
Mm-hmm.
This is something very similar because David approaches her and is like, hey, I went to go see Archie, and it turns out I have this random memory of you telling me that you're going to kill a woman while we were in the woods. And she's like, listen, you had a lot of evidence stacked against you before they arrested me, and I stood by your side the entire time.
Yeah.
And you have
And
a
it's really
memory.
shitty of you.
You have a very crappy and unreliable memory of me saying that I'm going to kill someone in the woods, which they didn't say this, but at no point in his memory did she actually say a name. And
Yeah.
her hair was long.
Yeah.
Like, did you not notice that, like, her entire appearance is different?
And she was dressed
David?
like a huntsman from a storybook.
And it
With
wasn't
a
even the
hood?
same forest, you dope.
You were dressed like a prince. You were at the very least wearing tights.
So listen,
So
it's
unless
not.
she killed
We know
Catherine,
that memory is real, but in terms of what's happening in Storybrooke, I am calling bullshit on him.
unless she killed Catherine after her production of Peter Pan, why is David wearing tights then?
These are questions that I can't be bothered to answer right now because I don't care. Exactly. Oh, hold on.
That's
There.
one for the blooper reel.
You say that now, you're going to be devastated when I leave this shit in.
Bloops. Well, mine wasn't nearly as manly as yours. I do only soft feminine burps.
No, I do hard manly burps.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
So,
that time we had a fart contest and Dennis still married me?
oh my God, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
So
it's like
dumb.
in the midst of like all of my hard and complicated feelings as to why this episode is such a betrayal to feminism, I forgot about the fart contest.
Oh yeah. And the biggest part of that joke is Dennis still married me after that.
Marriage is a joke.
Dummy. It really showed him.
So, there is a scene where before Emma, oh, you know what? No, I pulled the wiki up here just to kind of make sure that I'm keeping myself on track. It's revealed at the end of the episode that the DNA on the heart belongs to Catherine. And I had to check this because before Emma tells Mary Margaret this, Mary Margaret finds a skeleton key in her bed. We're not going to ask how that got there.
Listen, needs a
Regina's a witch. I don't really care. She finds that it's able to unlock the jail cell, but she closes the door again before Emma tells her about the DNA results. And she basically tells Mary Margaret, listen, I'm pretty sure someone's trying to frame you, so I'm going to go ask Mr. Gold for help on your behalf. And the episode ends with her approaching Mr. Gold to help her, and the jail cell is empty. And Mary Margaret is not there, and presumably she ran away.
Yep.
Now,
and she's off into a better episode.
yeah, I was going to say, if it sounds like this episode was convoluted and stupid, don't worry. The next one more than makes up for it. But we're not here to
The
talk
next
about
one
that
is
one
even more
today.
convoluted and more stupid, but in a delightful way.
Maddening, I think is the word.
Oh god, the next episode's fun.
Yes.
I'm all about
So,
it. And if you want guy liner, it's got you.
Okay, so here's my feelings about this episode. On the one hand, there's enough stuff in here that made me pay attention. Not that I cared about what was going on, but I was able to pay attention to it. I was able to hold my attention, which is a lot more than I can say about the other Mary Margaret and David episodes. There's a lot of funny bits in here, but what kind of makes it funny and enjoyable is the fact that Snow White was able to just kind of be her normal bitchy self.
Yeah.
And these parts of her personality that we've seen before she met Prince James.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And since meeting him, she seemed to kind of get like a little bit softer around the edges.
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing that while she is on her way to kill the queen, they mention time and time again that if she kills the queen, she will become as evil as the queen is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rumpelstiltskin says that evil isn't born, it is made, it's created.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though this falls in line with the show's logic, it's also kind of sexist.
Yeah.
Like, not in an overt way and not in an intentional way, but it's one of those things where, like, because of who is doing the evil deeds to whom, it's like they really, and this was written by two men. Two people wrote this episode. Two men wrote this episode, and it wasn't anywhere near as cohesive as Red Handed.
Yeah.
Or Skin Deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just think that dear old what's her name is a much better writer than whoever did this episode, because there was a couple
Jenna Epsonson.
There was a couple of nuggets of good ideas or good scenes, like the Snow White assaulting the bird. Like,
yes, that was
and there was
funny.
there's one thing that I'll try to gently sell you on it not being kind of sexist.
Like I said, it's not overtly.
Is that, Prince Charming David has kind of revealed to be the douchebag that he kind of always has been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's really shitty towards her once he has a recovered memory. He does not take into account that he has a historically unreliable memory. He does not believe the woman he says he loves. Like, as soon as there might be evidence that she might have done something, he's like ready to turn on her, basically.
Yeah.
And that is a shitty thing to do to someone you say you love. Not even going, hey, I have this recovered memory. What is that? Like, is that a dream? Did something happen? Do you remember this at all? Just going, nope, I think you probably killed her. Like,
yeah,
it's a really shitty thing to do.
It's an incredibly shitty thing to do, and I think it actually is mirrored in the fairy tale portion of it because of how desperate he is for her to remember who he is. And nobody is ever taking into account like just how bad the queen is, because okay, let's say that we forget about Snow's morality here for a second. Absolutely nobody who loves Snow White likes the queen in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
She is happier, arguably. A bit of a bitch, yes, but much more assertive and clearly knows what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
maybe being very brazen about it and not as rational because she wants results now.
Yeah.
But she's also seeing people react poorly to her for how she's changed. So she's taking
Mm-hmm.
all of this upon herself because she doesn't see anybody supporting the person who she currently is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I can
I
see
would
that.
be very hard pressed to say, like, okay, if she kills the queen, I don't think she'll be as evil as her because, like, Regina's pretty fucking bad, guys. Like,
Yeah.
really, really bad. Like, it didn't happen yet, but she ends up killing her own father bad.
Yeah. And
Like,
she already killed the king, like, by scheming. You don't know this, but
yeah.
you kind of know. Wait, does she know this?
Does Snow know this?
Yeah.
Yeah, she would, because at this point she's kicked out, and I'm
Okay.
pretty sure she knew
I don't think
that
we've
Regina was
seen that,
behind it.
like, officially.
I don't think she knows the details, but I think she knows that she's behind it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Or I don't know, the show kind of muddies those waters a little bit in terms of how
Mm-hmm.
much she knows, but she knows enough.
So it's
So
kind
it's
of
like,
like the how dare you try to proactively do something to hurt someone who's hurt you back.
and that
Shit.
we're going to hurt anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially at the
Um,
end of the episode where they decide they're going to go and they're going to get the prince back. Like, what do you think what are you going to do?
there's going to be more guards that are knocked out and naked.
Mm-hmm.
It, so yeah,
So the line is killing, like the knocking people down and beating them, even though he says the guard says he's never seen anyone more bloodthirsty.
yeah,
It's I okay. I see a little bit more where you're getting at there.
yeah, it's, and I don't even think like sexist isn't the right word to say necessarily, although I do think that it has something to do with it. It's just very lazy
Yeah.
storytelling. It is
Yeah.
except that's what I find offensive. I find lazy storytelling offensive. And the problem with lazy storytelling is that when you're not really taking all of the elements of the story into account, that is where you do kind of fall into like those like sexist tropes of men saying like, I know what's best for you,
Yeah. It's
which is
more of a
basically
double
what happens.
standard, I'd say, than
Yeah.
than straight up sexist. I'd say it's more like a, oh well, you don't get to take the initiative to do what you want. It has to be a dude's idea first.
Yeah,
Or if they
it's
take your dude. Basically, if it's just two women who don't like each other, then your reasoning is not valid. But if they take your man, then you have to kill her. Well, they don't even say you have to kill her. They just say get him back.
yeah, and we don't really know how soon um all of this is taking place after Red murders her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So to have the episode begin with a woman taking her agency to show her natural beauty and kill a bunch of people of her own free will,
Yeah.
only to have the rest of the episode saying that that's not what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah,
yeah,
listen.
yeah.
Who would have thought that the sexy, sexy Red, Ruby Red, would be one of the more feminist characters in the show?
Feminists.
Feminists, we turn into wolves and rip people up.
2 apples.
Yeah. You get one for
One for the hat.
You get one for the hat and one for the intervention scene.
Yeah, the intervention scene was great.
I love Grumpy literally pulls out a piece of paper and he's like, Snow, you have hurt me. You have hurt all of us. And then they go around the circle and they all have to tell Snow how they've hurt her. Or how she's hurt them, rather. And
Happy just goes off the
good.
rails.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I
Look
love
what
when
you're doing to Happy.
And part of it was just definitely Grumpy. I forget the actor's name. I'm sorry.
Lee,
His straight man act,
Mhm.
where he just pulls the paper out of his pocket and he just reads it like flatly, like you would. Like,
Mhm.
Snow, you have hurt us. You have hurt all of us. And I'm like, okay, you got comedic chops, and I love them. I
Lee
love
are
all your chops. I love
right.
your lamb chops. I love your pork chops. I don't love your pork chops, but I love your chops. I hope this song never ends.
I'm
I'm
it
down
goes
with
on
2.
and on, my friend.
I'm down with 2.
Yeah. This was a
Sorry.
it just keeps getting manlier.
It's going to turn into a full Homer Simpson burp by the end of this season.
Oh man. So next episode is going to be so much fun because it's insane. And I'm not even talking about the fantasy element. No. The Storybrooke is bonkers. The Storybrooke porn, like don't even mention anything that it's about. Just like describe the episode in one word.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay, perfect.
How's that for description? Holy crap. I remember watching this with Dennis and just going like, wow, this is like a lot.
Okay, I actually need
Buffalo Bill, is somebody gonna wear somebody's skin by the end of this? That's kind of how I feel about this life.
I need to, because let's see here. I want to see who wrote this one.
This one or the next one?
Well, the next one. Well,
about
2 people. 2 people. Oh, okay. One of the writers is a writer on Fringe.
Okay.
And the CB and no. This is what we're gonna leave off on. He also wrote Without a Trace.
Yeah. There we go. Vladimir Svetko and David H. Goodman.
David H. Goodman's the one who's worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Once Upon a Time, Fringe, and Without a Trace. And you know what? All of that shows in the next episode.
Yup. Who directed it? I'm really curious now. Witchblade is his other work that's listed on. Lawless, Roar, Dead at 21. Directed the most episodes of Once Upon a Time. So he's done a ton of episodes here. So he's an old hat.
Oh, you know what? He directed an episode of The X-Files too.
This
is just getting weirder and weirder.
This next episode is whackety schmackety. So, next time, get yourself a drink, get yourself some popcorn, and just go for the ride, because it's a pretty fun one. And it's one of my favorite fairy tale stories around, period.
Yeah. We have been waiting for you to talk about this one because
oh my god,
this is your lane.
Oh yeah. Stay out of my lane, boy.
Lane boy.
I'm straight
lane
up.
Boy.
This next episode, I'm waiting to get a tattoo about this fairy tale. Mm-hmm. It's like already planned. I know where it's gonna go. It's just gonna take a lot of time and money. And I might have to wait for my stepfather to pass away. Sorry, world. So hopefully it'll be a very long time before I get it. A really, really long time. If that's the condition I have to wait for. But it's going to be fun. I'm excited. Oh my god. I'm going to have to do research.
Yeah, for once. Well, until then, I'm Sam Logsdon. Make sure you wash your hands.
I'm Amanda Pierce. Hugs, not drugs.
Yeah, and remember, it might not be the end,
It might not be happening.
But you're always welcome to this party. Happy's endings.
Ginger!